What's up, guys? Paddy Panic here with the first review from Megabyte Productions, and we're taking a look at Batman Arkham Knight.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
This is the fourth game in the Batman series. What? Wait, no, wait. Do the portable games count? I don't know. But there's been a lot of these games to the point that it's almost an annualized franchise. So you're going to see a lot of things stall out and not a lot of innovation take place, and unfortunately that reigns true in Arkham Knight. But before we get into the gameplay, let's talk story. Now, we all know, well, you might not know, so spoiler. Okay, spoiler. Did you turn that? If you didn't play City, I'm about to ruin your whole life, pal. So, at the end of Arkham City, Joker dies, and that picks up, that's where Arkham Knight picks up, with Joker being incinerated, and then we fast forward 9 months, things are looking good, the city's so peaceful, well, as peaceful as Gotham can be. I mean, the place looks like an absolute rat hole. I don't know why anyone would ever live there, especially seeing as how crime just reigns supreme. But everything looks nice, everything looks good, but then old Scarecrow, this old bub, has to show up and spray toxin in everybody's face, and everything just goes back to hell. So of course, Batman, being the lunatic that he is like, oh no, wait, I gotta stay with all these thugs and criminals, and I'm basically the only person left in the city, and I've got to stop Scarecrow and his new henchman, the Arkham Knight, who promises the death of Batman.
This ends tonight.
The story starts off with like an incredible bang. I felt that it was really powerful opening, and then it really started off. Even after that, it kept the pace up really well. But towards the middle, for a very long period of time, it felt kind of like it was just plateauing, and you were just kind of chasing these leads and these little things, and they didn't really have much interest or intrigue. There was like a few moments that were very impactful that kind of kept you going, but overall I felt that the initial mystery of who the Dark Knight was, or not the Dark Knight, the Arkham Knight was kind of just forgotten about, and it didn't really have that, what's the word I'm looking for, it really didn't have that interest level, I guess you could say. For me, I just felt that I didn't really give a shit who he was, because even though this game is called Arkham Knight, it's really Scarecrow that runs the show in the whole story. So I thought that was kind of odd. It was almost like, well, he's a B-level villain. We can't give him the name of the game, so we gotta give it to this guy. And I know that their whole thing is built on, like, well, who is he? But I really didn't care, and then at the end, I won't reveal it, but it's not like, it's like, wow-wee! You know, it's just kind of a thing that happens. So unfortunately, the story does fall short. And another part that does fall short, I know I'm really ragging on the game here, is the combat system. It's very fluid, it's still the same thing, but there's no innovation. It just kind of keeps what they've done in the past. It does, I will admit, it does feel more fluid, more in sync than it has in the past entries, but overall I really wasn't blown away by anything. I thought that there would be much more things to do and combos to execute. And I know there's a lot of things that you can upgrade with your Wayne tech and your gadgets and your bat suit and all these things, and really kind of, you know, spice it up. But overall, you can just get the job done by pushing square, square, triangle to block, square, square, triangle to block, or X, X, Y if you're on Xbox. It's kind of the same thing we've already been playing for a while, and I never really got the praise that the battle system for these games receives. The one thing I thoroughly did enjoy, though, about the gameplay that is new is the Batmobile. That's the one area where they kind of, they were like, okay, this is our new thing. It's obviously, it almost kind of looks like the Tumbler from the Dark Knight franchise, but it's super powerful, and it can be hard to control, but I found it to be really exhilarating to drive around Gotham, to race, and I just thought one thing that was really cool was the animation of we can hit the L1 trigger to jump in to the Batmobile as it peels around like a building. just to pick you up. I thought things like that were really cool, and I know it's like a stupid small thing. But, yeah, I thought it was really cool. Even the battle mode system, where you can go in there and start firing your cannons and your bullets and stuff like that. The only thing I didn't like was I felt that they relied on it too much. There's segments where you take down a bunch of tanks with the Batmobile, and they almost rely on that like every other minute. And I didn't like that, because it just felt like I was just redoing the same thing, where you're dodging, and it can be kind of difficult. So you have to be on your toes, but it does wear off its charm rather quickly. But overall, I found the Batmobile to be very cool to drive. Then again, though, I do have that unpopular opinion. I also like sailing in Wind Waker, so what do I know? As for side stuff to do, the game does have plenty of things to do. You can do, just like you could in the past games, where, you can pick up firefighters, or you can solve a murder mystery. You can, of course, do all the Joker riddles and trophies, which are like 243, which means I'll be doing absolutely none of those. I did a few, but I guess those are just for the most hardcore players, and if, that's great for them, but overall, I just didn't feel like it was necessary, and it's too many to handle. And the one thing that I didn't like about the game and how it presents itself is how it kind of presents those side quests. There's a lot of issue with you just kind of going around town. Like, you can set your marker to that certain mission, but it's hard to find it. Like, even when you signal in on a radio, and you can hear like thugs on the street talking about what you're supposed to be doing, like, say, the firefighters that are held hostage, you still have a hard time locating these guys. And I felt that things like that just made it kind of difficult to do, and I didn't really appreciate it, because it's like they basically are just relying on you to sail around the city and be like, well, maybe just pick up the chatter, then you can do the side quests. And it's kind of like, well, at least give me a hint as to what to do, and then I can quickly pick it up. It was almost like the hints didn't really allow you to pick up the side quest, and I didn't find that too good. It kind of put me off, so then it just pushed me further into the main story, thus leaving all the side quest stuff on the sides. I didn't really, wasn't really interested in doing any of it. But I guess, like I said, if you're into that, it does introduce a lot of cool things, like certain villains such as Firefly that you wouldn't get to see in the main storyline, who he made an appearance in Arkham Origins. And I thought that things like that were pretty cool, and they were pretty interesting. But overall, I felt that the game kind of, unless you're really digging, unless you're really searching, it's just kind of pushing you into this story. It's like, don't worry about that other stuff, here you go. At least it's so off-putting with its navigation, and just the amount of content, like I said, the 243 riddle trophies. I mean, that's just such a daunting task to achieve that outside of the most hardcore fans, most people aren't going to do them. As for like visuals and stuff, I mean, the game is absolutely astounding. Arkham City just looks, or Gotham, it just looks absolutely incredible. Flying across the cityscape is just incredible. Everything about the game looks beautiful, from the combat, from character models to water to smoke. Everything looks good. The way the city blurs when you're driving the Batmobile at full speed, I found it to be really incredible, and really adds that exhilarating rush to driving that powerful machine. The only thing I didn't like were like the enemy models, whereas I felt that Arkham Origins got flack for using a lot of the same enemy models. Nobody said that about Arkham Knight, and Arkham Knight kind of uses the same enemy models. Yeah, they throw in like a few different ones, kind of similar to like Uncharted, where they throw in the big guy with, the big Hulk that you can't beat. There was usually that guy, and I know that guy's been in the past, but they kind of changed him up in the series. But overall, it's just, you're just walloping, these scrubs in dark gray outfits. So, I mean, like, that's kind of a bummer, and I felt overall that the game is very good. I know I'm really kind of ragging on it, and I'm not really articulating my thoughts well, but that's because I'm dumb and I'm not very smart. I think the way it started, it felt like it was just going to be like, wow, this is going to get really, really good. And then it plateaued, and then it, they kind of they were repeating the same things in terms of the Batmobile, and the combat really isn't a game changer. And I just felt that, bringing this franchise into the current gen could really do wonders for it, and they did in terms of like world building and sound design and everything, and everything else, like visually, but I just didn't think that they did enough in terms of like gameplay and switching it up. The story is very intriguing at first, but like I said, it just kind of evens out at the end, towards the middle, and it's kind of a shame because especially given the hype this game had and everything like that. But maybe the DLC will change my mind. Maybe the DLC will change other people's minds. But I don't feel that this game will be remembered in the way that, say, Arkham Asylum was, as being kind of like the first great superhero video game, and then City, where it just was like, wow. Even though I wasn't the biggest City fan, I know why a lot of people liked it. I just feel like this will kind of fade away. It's definitely a game that is most certainly good and not bad. It's a perfectly fine video game, but it is definitely not not like an elite video game, I guess you could say. Well, alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining Megabyte Productions on our first review. I know it was terrible, but then again, I'm terrible. I apologize for wasting all these minutes of your life. If you want to leave the death threats down below, are we disabling comments? I don't know. I guess we'll see. If not, if we aren't disabling comments, then feel free. If we are, sorry, you're just going to have to rage at your computer. Give me the bird right to the old monitor or the old phone screen, one or the other. But yeah, that is my review of Batman Arkham Knight. I do not get into stars. And what are these? Are these stars that disappeared? Oh my god. I just boiled the game down to a star rating. I gotta go.